Hey guys, John here. This is my new plugin called Demonic. There's a free download in the video description if you want to get it. So basically, in a nutshell, this idea came to me after I did the Silent Hill video because I really liked that effect that I did. If you haven't watched it, I've also linked that below. But I liked how I made that rack and how it all came together. But it is a lot of work to make that happen. So I decided to make that into one easy plugin, and I also added a few extra features that I thought were really cool. So let's get into it and let's check it out. So here I brought the Silent Hill melody back in and I have it on just a piano. So the piano melody just sounds like this by itself. So now let's get into the melody. So first off, we're going to have this EQ, and it kind of does that old radio kind of frequency change. And this is a whole knob to kind of control that whole thing. So it'll sound like this. So all the way up, it's kind of getting that very focused mid-rangey with a little high-end boost. Next up, we have the saturation knob. So let's turn this EQ up all the way, and let's see it introduce a little bit of saturation. Now with this knob, I designed it in the sense that you don't really need too much of this knob really to have that saturation, but I did give a lot of leeway if you really wanted to distort the sound. So up to you how much of that you want to use. And they all come with a bypass. So I decided to add the bypass in case you wanted to have a certain value here and you didn't want to remember it. So if you like this EQ, and then you hear it without it, you can bypass that as well. So easy little button there. Moving on from the saturation, we have these two knobs here, and these two function with each other. So this OT intensity and OT speed is basically, I call it the old time kind of sound. So for example, this intensity is going to be the variation of the random pitch changes in the song or in the signal. So when we put it up quite a bit, it's really kind of exaggerated, and I kind of wanted that in case there was like a very, very specific crazy effect that you wanted to do. I find it's kind of useful, maybe a middle, like maybe 40% or so. But it's up to taste. And then the speed knob basically controls how fast that pitch is changing. So if we have this up pretty intense here, and we increase the speed, it's gonna be quite a bit. So to really get the old-timey sound, maybe something like that. And once we start adding effects, if we lose a little bit of volume, that's why I have the output and the input volume here. Can boost it up a little bit. And also this OT has a bypass as well in case you want to have these settings locked in and then you want to kind of A/B what it sounds like with and without it. And moving on, next we have the frequency shifter. So this is kind of a cool feature as well that I wanted to add to this. So this is kind of in addition to what we did on the Silent Hill video. So this is basically going to obviously shift the frequencies up or down to this song here. So take a listen to this. So it's almost kind of like that really slow down weird thing. So if something happens, you can automate this in the sense that and it almost kind of stops. And then you can go the other direction. And then also this frequency shifter and this alien knob here also both function with each other as well. And you'll kind of notice that with their bypass switches, how they're kind of linked to these knobs as well. So listen to this alien sound here. Let's bring this down, maybe something kind of weird. And let's bring this alien knob up. Now I find this knob here with the frequency shifter and the alien, more so the alien is more tailored toward vocals. So if you want to do something creepy or sci-fi-ish with a vocal sound, then that's where that really comes in handy. And also there's a frequency shift bypass as well, if you kind of just want to turn it on and off. So that'll come in handy. Moving on, we have this reverb section here, and I picked the core reverb sounds or the parameters that I felt were going to be specific to this because I didn't want this patch to be complicated, but I did want it to be, or this plugin to be effective and not complicated. So it's kind of straightforward, easy to use, and every knob on here has a very specific function. So moving on to the reverb, the big knob in the center is obviously how much reverb you want. So the wet signal of the reverb. And all these default values are basically kind of a starting point, obviously default, but from here you can really change some stuff here. So if you have a lot of low end maybe in your signal, I added the low cut here and then the high cut as well. So let's bypass the EQ real quick. And we see that here, that low end. We can bypass that from the reverb as well. Also, we have the high cut for the reverb. Next up, we have the delay. So basically how long once the note is struck to once we hear the delay. So if we have it quite drastic. So it's the delay of the reverb tail, basically. Moving on, we have the decay time, so how long that reverb is going to last. If we put it quite a bit high up, that reverb is going to stay around for quite a while. So back to default, and then the knob over here, size, is basically how big of a room we're going to be in. If we put it really big, increase the decay time. There you go. And then the last part of this reverb here is these two purple knobs here, and these are very cool to add a creepy type of reverb to it. So keep in mind that these both function with each other, which is why they're going to be both purple. So let's have kind of a default reverb setting here going on. Let's bring this up maybe kind of drastic so we can hear it. So with this mod and with this speed, if we turn this mod all the way up, and then we turn the speed up, let's put some more decay time. Sounds very weird. Kind of creepy, dissonant. Now with these off, let's stop this all here. Let's turn these off. Get used to that reverb tail. And then let's put this mod all the way up and the speed all the way up as well. Now we hear a lot of that low end rumble of the reverb, and this is where that low cut is going to come in handy. So if I were to kind of recreate that old-timey effect within this plugin for this for the Silent Hill video, I'd probably do something similar like this. I'd listen to the signal, decide how much of this EQ I wanted, maybe something like that. Add a little bit of saturation. And remember, with this knob, a little goes a long way. Let's add some old time intensity. Increase that speed. I probably won't play with the frequency shift or the alien for this patch because this is more of a melodic type of key sound, so I'll leave those ones alone. Add some reverb. And take out some of the low cut just in case. And I do like adding these two, especially if it's a creepy type of sound. So add some mod and some mod speed. Maybe a little bit more decay time. So I'd probably add something like that. And then I also added a master bypass in case you wanted to just A/B with the plugin on and off as well. And last thing, I think I did mention it a little bit, but there's also an input volume and an output volume. So if your signal is coming in, it's a little low, you have 5.6 dB extra that you can give. And then also you can go all the way down to infinity if you want to do that as well. So if we have signal going, you can mute it essentially with the input volume there. Alt-click to go back to default, and the same thing for the output. So keep in mind, these are different volume knobs. The input is increasing the volume before it hits any of these modules here. And then at the output is the output of every module, including the reverb at the very tail end of the plugin. So that's kind of a demonstration within itself. And like I said, it's a free download in the video description below. And if you want to add this and you're not sure how to, basically what you want to do is you go to your tracks here, and this is going to be an insert effect, so it's not going to be on the channel rack. So if we have an insert, for example, we're going to hit our slot, we're going to load in Patcher, and then from your preset menu down up here, you're going to load it from there. So if you don't know how to install it, what you can also do is go to Save Preset, and it'll open a window to save something, and then it'll give you the directory right there, and then you can copy that file right in there, and it should load from there. So in case anybody is curious and wants to see what it looks like under the hood, it's going to look like this a little bit here. Let's drag this out. Quite a lot of workspace here. But I do like working left to right instead of having everything kind of just smashed everywhere, I guess. So I've also labeled everything, as you can see here. So if you want to dive deep, you can kind of see what everything's doing. So everything should be properly labeled and all the controls should know what they're doing. And yeah, that's pretty much what it looks like under here. And if you want to look at it more in depth or change some stuff, then you can do that in the download and then change it to how you like. So that in a nutshell is this plugin. So hopefully it helps you make some cool sounds. And if it does, I'd love to hear them, and we'll see you in the next video.